So yeah, I knew nothing about Fallout before I watched the show. And after watching the show, I kind of want to play Fallout. As far as any weapons or characters or anything like that, I'm not going to recognize any of that. There are a couple of standout moments in the show. I feel like if I was into the video games, I would have got it a little more. Not necessarily story beats, just more of like there was this one scene where a soda machine goes flying across the room. Just the way that they focus on the soda machine and the way it's shot. That tells me that that soda machine is probably something from the game. So there are moments like that to where I can I may guess right, but I may be wrong too. But as far as the show goes, man, I was really into it. Right out the gate, the show opens up with the best opening I've seen in the show in a while. And I mean just strictly based on the first 10 to 15 minutes. A lot goes down within that first 5 minutes of the episode that really does set up the world of the show. It's a world where everyone's pretty much just waiting for a bomb to drop. You hear radio and then you see the news kind of freaking out, asking why is he doing the weather if he doesn't even know if there's going to be a next week. The show opens up on Walter Goggins' character named Cooper Howard. Cooper's an actor towards the end of his career. He's almost at the retirement stage of acting. He's doing a lot of commercials and a lot of ads. So it opens up with him and his daughter at a birthday party. His daughter's kind of his assistant. He wrangles the horses and let the kids ride on the horses and all that. There's two dudes talking shit. Why is he working birthday parties? One of them brings up, I guess, is the alimony. Really setting up something to come in future episodes. And this is what I mean by the sense of suspense that this first 5 minutes is really, really good at giving you. Like I said, you know that the bombs are going to drop. You know that they're going to drop soon. His daughter, Cooper and his daughter is having this conversation about mushroom clouds, about if it's bigger than your thumb. If it's smaller than your thumb, you're safe. If it's bigger than your thumb, you don't need to worry about it. You're not going to be around to have that to worry about. They're having this conversation and then he breaks off and gives her a piece of cake. So then we finally get to the bomb going on. The bomb's going off, and there's more than one. At first, it just seems like it's just going to be one, but then multiple more started going off. So after the bomb goes off, he grabs his daughter. They get on horseback. And he tries to outrun it, but he winds up getting caught. Then that's when we jump 200 years later, where now we follow the character of Lucy. She lived in a vault created by Vault Tech. Vault Tech is a company that pretty much capitalized off of the end of the world. We learn more about Vault Tech through Cooper and his wife as the show goes on. So Lucy and a bunch of other people have lived in the vault for 200 years. Some people grew old there, some people were born there, and lived their entire life inside the vault. They know nothing else outside of the vault. Everyone in the vault is pretty naive to the real world that's above them, to what the world really became after the bombs went off. The world's pretty much a savage wasteland ruled by outlaws and savages. So whatever was left of society after the bombs went off, people picked up and moved on, having to adapt to this new environment. Yeah, the people in the vault have no idea about the world above them. So the character of Lucy is perfectly naive for what the show is going for with her character, her being our eyes into this new world. Her really being, it's hard to call her the main character. She is what the show centers around. It's her arc that we're following. So she is the main character. But the only reason I say it's hard to call her the main character is because Cooper's character has so much more to do with the story. But yeah, anyway, so she's really the main character. They live in a vault divided by, barracks, pods, whatever you want to call it. But there's 31, there's 32, there's 33. So I guess apparently there's like a vault 4 and a vault, there are other vaults. And that's one of the things to where if I played the game, I would have known that. But Lucy's from vault 33. Like I said, most of her people in there are really naive. They've never really been outside the vault their entire life. And it's only when they're invaded. It's only when they get invaded that Lucy, I believe the show says she's like in her 20s or something like that. 22, I believe. After they established the vault dwellers, they then introduced Maximus. I'm gonna call him Max from here on out. His character may have taken the most time to really get on board with. I'm normally good at placing actors from where I've seen them before and stuff like that, but I couldn't place where I've seen him before until like maybe halfway through the series, and it was from Disjointed. That's the only thing I've seen him in before this. I thought Disjointed was okay. It was a bit cheesy and a little bit too cheesy, but it definitely had some good episodes. I'm not really too familiar as an actor outside of that show. Here he did a good job. There are times where the show treated him like he was a horror movie villain. Maximus, he's a soldier first off. He's part of this small army called the Brotherhood. Other than being just another army in a post-apocalyptic world, they have these huge robots, or knights I believe that they were called. He has this friend that I imagine they went through boot camp and they've been friends for a while. And his friend gets promoted before he does. Once his friend gets promoted, we're led to believe that he put a razor blade in his friend's boot out of pure rage and pure jealousy. They let you believe that he put this blade in his friend's boot for a long time in the show. I believe right up until the last episode. It was either the last episode or second to last episode where we find out that he didn't do it, or at least his friend said he didn't do it. The way that it's written and the way that it was executed, even after his friend said that his friend like he did or he or she did it to themselves, I still believe that Max put the blade in the shoe. And that's one of the things where I don't know if I'm just getting lost. That was one of the aspects of Max that I didn't hate it. It just confused me. Because I watched this completely alone by myself. So while I'm thinking he put the blade in his friend's boot, then comes the scene with Max where... So after the situation with the blade and the boot, the leader of the Brotherhood makes him one of the Knights' squires. And while he's a squire to one of the Knights, they go off on a mission, and that's where his knight dies and he gets the armor. There's this big animal that attacks the knight, bringing him pretty close to death. Max has the opportunity to save him, but then seeing the knight not be brave, running away from the fight, telling him to go into the cave with no armor. Even though that part doesn't come back up in the show, I do feel like that played into it. Max lets him die. He doesn't give him a raid pack. He takes over the suit. I'm on board with him, being just like kind of not a hero character, but not a villain character either. But then after that, the Brotherhood contacts the knight and says, hey, you didn't check in. Is everything okay? Max, pretending to be Titus, the old knight, says yes, everything's okay, and so they send him another squire, thinking that he's Titus, the knight that Max let die. There was this one scene with Max and his new squire. At this point, Max is considered to be dead, and so the squire that they send knows Max, and they went through boot camp together. He was the guy who got hazed until Max got there, and then everybody started to haze him. The guy we hazed him, but I only regret that he never got the chance to haze anybody else after. I thought that part was dope. Then not too long after that, he goes back to being this like horror movie villain. He tries to tell his new squire it's not who he thinks it is behind the armor. And he tries to tell the truth, and he tries to tell him what happened, and the squire pretty much tells him he's going to rat him out. And when he does that, Max tries to kill him. The thing with Titus, who was the first knight, I'm willing to let a lot of that stuff slide because, he was on the brink of death anyway. It's not like, Max purposely killed him. He let him die, but it's not like he did it. With Max's squire, I feel like Max was 100% a villain. It's later on in the series where he finally confesses to Lucy that, he wasn't a real knight. He's not Titus. His name's not Titus, it's Max. He tells her the truth and she accepts it, and she says, hey, I've had to do a lot of crazy shit, and I've only been out of the vault for 2 days or something like that. It's only up until that point, if I didn't know if he was going to try to kill Lucy at some point, but by the end, I'm on board with it, and now it makes sense. By the time it gets to the very last episode, everything they did for all the characters really makes sense, and that's what I think is going to lead it to being a successful season 2. At this point, everything I talked about it's either in the first episode or the third or fourth episode. I'm not going to get a chance to talk about every single thing. everything that the show did right, not only by the video game, but just on its own as a TV show. It's good enough for me to give it a high recommendation. If you haven't seen it by now, I definitely suggest you check it out. If you're a fan of movies based on video games, I think you'll really enjoy this one. If you enjoy the Twisted Metal show that came out not too long ago, you'll enjoy this. You don't have to know anything about the Fallout games in order to fall into this show. The runtime makes it a weird binge, but it's still pretty easy to binge. I look forward to season 2. Anything that I didn't get a chance to talk about in this video, I'll definitely touch on when season 2 comes out. I'll probably review that in halves so I can touch on more next time. This video is already running longer than I wanted it to. Be sure to come back, check out the channel for more future reviews. Be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see y'all next time.